I honestly think that's not how it works. My point being is, like, you guys either read or seen Clockwork Orange, right?
I just read the book.
Okay.
I just finished the book.
So
yesterday,
the whole point of the movie and the book was this one idea, and I think so many people kind of see it as something else. And for what I saw, it was that they take this kid who is admittedly very ultra violent. He's a sociopath, and then they take a government protocol where they try to hammer in ethical and moral ideas.
Well, they do it with science, right?
With what they look at as a system.
They give him a drug, and then
LSD?
they force him to watch. They give him a drug. They shoot him up with a drug. The book is fantastic, but the movie's a masterpiece.
What they did with language is probably second to none.
It's a masterpiece. Anthony Burgess, but they shoot
drug,
him up.
LSD?
So they take him. He's a droogie, and he has his 3 droogs, Dim, Peter, and Georgie, and his name is Alex. And they're from, he's got this Manchester accent, and they go about and they rape and they kill and they maim. And his favorite thing is
for entertainment,
the old ultra violence, he calls it, where there are rape scenes in that movie. That movie's so shocking.
And is he doing that stuff before they give him the drugs?
So he's a bad man. He's a young droogie, and he gets off on violence. He's so clearly a sociopath, a sadistic sociopath. He gets off on destroying human beings, which he talks about. He gets arrested for killing an old woman. He then is put into the system. And 2 years into his prison sentence, they say, we have a cure.
Oh, this sounds like Charles Manson's
criminals.
Story.
So they have him strapped to a chair and they shoot him up with a medicine. They prop his eyes open. In the movie, they have his eyes open like that.
Yeah, I remember that scene.
And they force him to watch violent movies. And he starts to get sick. When he used to be turned on, he gets sick. He starts to throw up. And so violence, rape, all these things now, even the thought of it make him wretch. So the government has cured him. But the theme of the book and the theme of the movie is, now you've taken away choice. You've taken away moral choice. You've just made it impossible for him to do bad things because he'll get sick. But you haven't changed the guy, right?
You haven't changed him.
And the
truly.
argument is, and of course, in the end, it doesn't really. Yeah, in the end, it doesn't really work. In the end, he starts. And in the book, he actually gets old. He just grows up, and he goes,
I'm good.
Destroying isn't as good as creating, and he just gets older.
But in the movie, there's a scene, and I thought this was one of the best little pieces of spice that Kubrick put on it. There's a scene where he's in the library after this treatment.
Spoiler.
And he's dude. The movie came out 50 fucking years ago.
One of the greatest movies ever.
Fuck you. You got a spoiler.
It's a mind blower. It's a fucking mind blowing movie.
There's a scene where Alex has gone through this program, and as Brian put it, he's physically been changed, but he's now living a life. He's into studies, and he's wearing the uniform, the whole thing. And he's in the school library, and a priest comes up to him, and he says, "Alex, how's it going?" And he says, "Oh, I'm right as rain, sir." And he gives him all the priest says, "Okay, I just want you to know." He's like, he said, and he brings me. He said, "Goodness comes from within. Goodness has to come from within. It's not something that can be applied to you.
It's a choice."
And that's my big concern about all of this too, especially in this world where we have like white fragility and these ideas, these ethical, moral commandments that are being pushed on people, children and adults alike.
Well, it's not enough to be a racist. Now you have to be anti-racist. You can't be a non-racist. Now you have to be anti-racist.
No, silence is racist, Brian.
Well, silence is violence. You hear this stuff too. So these are the things I object to.
Well, my point is that I had the incredible luxury of growing up in I'll take the Pepsi challenge with anyone. I grew up in one of the most diverse places on the fucking planet. A white Anglo-Saxon was by far the minority in where I grew up. And I arrived at a point where I really do feel that I am as enlightened as I can be to all separate cultures, and that wasn't because of any book I read. It wasn't because of any type of adult figure or figure of authority trying to impose these ideas on me. It was because I had to live amongst people and talk to them and made mistakes and fucked up, put my foot in my mouth and clearly offended people, then learned and then felt better about myself when I understood people, then got turned on by the idea of opening my mind to fucking different walks of life.
No shit.
And you can't kind of synthesize
Say this
that.
right now.
Yeah.
Watch your tone.
Okay. What's going to happen? What are you going to do? Use some of that boxing you've been doing?
Don't you fucking disrespect.